Hello and welcome. You know, we're at the stage now where I can start to show monthly charts, talk about the 18 average, talk about some key highs, as well as that of some key lows. And within such, that means we're moving a little bit closer. Now, what can I say about Litecoin on its entirety? Is it a doji? And when I say that, is it just choppy back and forth, up and down? There is no real trend on its entirety. It's not up. It's certainly not down. It's down from the start, but not by much. It has had how many hits at this bottom area? Well, we have one in here, although do we really want to count it? We definitely have this is a key low, definitely one high, and this is a key high. You do count this because this was an actual real event. This one here, I have a hard time counting. I really, really do. But even if I don't count this and don't count that, we have definitely this low. These are major lows. And now we had this high, multiple hit, this low, this high, this low. And as of now, this is where the high is. And that's the key word, as of now, because it used to be here. As of now, this is where the high was then. And well, same thing here. It was at this point as of then. As of now, the high here was at that point. Yada, yada, yada. You just wait and see and let this market move play out. And I don't think I'll ever stop saying that yada, 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 which I guess you would define as letting events play through over a long period of stuff. A lot of different things happen. You should understand what they are. I don't need to mention. Yada, yada, yada. That was in Seinfeld. I love that face. Love that as well. Love that saying. Anyway, as I talk about as far as buy low, sell high, and lately taking two coins together that you like. And I mean, these are coins you expect not to go down. So Litecoin has passed the test. How has its volatility been? Well, its differential from high to low is from like the 29 handle to the 230, so 7x. It's okay. Now it's been lower than that. It's nothing too majorly fantastic. But it does have movements. And like Doji, it's only got a small range as well. It's not fantastic right now either, but it sort of moves. And that's what we're looking for, coins that move. I mean, it sounds basic, but it is. And Namecoin, well, this one's going straight down, which is why when I decide to play it, oh, it's going to be how I went as large as I could, knowing it's got to be as small as it can be, small, small, small stakes. Meaning, what can I totally put in and I can just laugh it off, realizing I need to put this in, and if I'm going to play this game out, what am I going to allocate within future buys? But what I did was going back to like in here, and I used this computer program in here. And how this computer program ran was you'd start off with the ratio. This is when the ratio was 3.6. And Litecoin was not even four times higher. So I would play the market movement, wait for maybe a big move of some sort. And these things had a lot of this not so great volatility. As you can see, these are historical prices. And I would just trade it along the way. You really could only get like 25% moves most of the time, but I would do things. Oh, it was 360, it's 460. Let's sell maybe 1.5 Litecoin, and then continue this forward. I'm going to do this with another codes, and I'm going to do DGB and something else. I just don't know what that something else is going to be yet, because you want coins that have very good volatility. And what I'm going to do on the next section is I'm going to give it an option here. So I have one. I'm going to remove the buys. I'm just going to focus on sell this or sell that. Like sell, and then no, actually I'll keep it because sometimes you want to do it. No, I'm going to keep that. I mean, it's already coded in anyway. So I'll have like five. Enter. Skip to levels. So I could say, okay, what ratio I would type in, I want to go over 5.5 or under 3.6, and then it's going to just go until the next period is on either one of the two directions. That's how I'm going to program it next. And again, I'm going to do DGB and something else. I've already done XBY with a spreadsheet. So, okay, and this is what you were doing mainly a lot of. My goal was to try to make over 10 Litecoin and see how much NMC I could get. And I failed. I couldn't do it. I mean, I barely overperformed the market, but that's overperforming NMC going down. So this would be okay. Let's sell, like, say, another one, and so on and so forth. I don't want to show any more on that. However, I will show the results of how it finished off when I did this yesterday. Starting off at 10 and 36, the value at the time for those coins against Bitcoin was 0.0742. Since then, Litecoin has doubled in price against Bitcoin, which means you'd be worth 0.01473 yesterday. Now it's close to 0.04. It's a little higher now, not much, but that's not the point. And if you had 10 of them and did nothing, that's what you'd be worth. And then if you had 36 of these NMC and did nothing, well, you would barely have anything at all. That's how much the ratio has skewed since then. In my game, I ended at 7.7 for today's prices. So I mean, a couple times I got close and then I sold off later because the ratio would go higher. But those 7.7 would be worth 11.34. But I ended up having 310 NMC with 0.592. So it meant that I barely overperformed a base market in this scenario. Now, within the DGB, this is what I'm looking at in here. Does it have volatility? Well, lately it's getting symmetrical. The higher lows, lower highs, which is always a reduction in volatility. A little bit, but it had massive moves before, and it's going to break it to one side or another, but that's a key thing, one side or the other. Just because something may look choppy for a while doesn't, or whatever trend, it means it's going to stay to that trend. Because when you get into a market, you're starting from whatever point day you start at. Now, log scale is much needed in spots like this, and the trading view has a pretty bad log scale. Okay, well, from here, start to April of 2017, it was in that situation of just being a choppy market, no trend. Because it resisted a lot at this, what was the 100 number, and it had all of these lower support levels. So it had to break it to one side or another, and well, it broke it higher. Now the question is it a real move? Is it a failed breakout? No, it's not a failed breakout. A failed breakout is something that goes higher, and then relatively quickly thereafter that is going to go back to the congestion key level, and thus not hold the major level, which is so obvious, that line that's already drawn in there where the 100 is, where is the key level, and that's where it's supported. And it's been, of course, that symmetrical view since then. So it's a little bit, maybe the range of that is extended, but I do like, of course, its bullish look as it moves forward. So now the question is, and I'm going to check for data because I didn't do so last time, and I realized my Litecoin data that I downloaded was a little skewed. And well, you can see in one of the videos I did before, if you were to ever get a move of something where something were to go like 8 times higher than back down, how profitable it would be, as I had in that example. But it wasn't a real move, so I couldn't count it. But they can happen, which was one of the keys. As we look at the volatility for today's time being, just from the February lows, this is a month and a bit more, a month and a week and another half a week, over 40 days. You go from 238 to 400. Not quite double, but pretty darn near close. Yeah, not really close, but better than 50%. And now it's retraced 400, not quite down to 300, but still like 30%. These are the type of moves that I want to see. And historically, when you have stuff like this go from 260 to 344, back down to 235, back up to 231, back down to 261, up to 296, down to 260, up to 307. If you're playing for, I mean, it could be better volatility, but it's still worth noting last year's move here in June. This is when markets were not rallying. So when these things go up and down together, it kind of isn't so, might not work so well in trading two other pairs together. But when you get the unique moves and DGB's capable of it, here's a spot in June where it went from 300 up to 650. That was better than double. And then giving it practically all back that fast. So in the strategies of trading this with altcoins, this would have been selling your DGB for the other coin, maybe a short-term buyback here, maybe another sell, another buyback, another sell, another buyback, and a whole bunch more buybacks. Which is why when you lead to stuff like this, you're able to get some sells that come in. And now this most recent one was just getting a whole bunch of those buybacks back. Now, that, of course, that's against Bitcoin in this example. But the question is I don't know this answer yet. Which coin do I feel using the strategy of putting them together could I really get phenomenal results with? I kind of, but it doesn't matter too much. Wouldn't mind coins that have been around, at least since this one has been around. Now, coins like Dash on the monthly chart, this is against Bittrex. I mean, this one might not be a bad one to choose as well. It's got the exact same situation as noted within Bitcoin, within DGB. The only difference is it's right here, right now. This is where it's at right now with the exact same pattern. Whether we'll continue to do this or not, well, time will only tell. In that, it had a most very noticeable level of resistance, and it's a range. The range is right here, and maybe somewhere around in here, ballpark area. And even I'm just trying to roll even around here for that matter, because that levels this resistance. It still entitles this move here. And okay, so now you had the spot where before it was kind of sideways. Now it was an ascending triangle, as there was no key support other than on higher lows. So matching highs and higher lows was its trend. Then it had a breakout. It still could be a failed move, but it's not so fast for it. However, failed breakout, now it's back to where it came from. I don't care that it didn't hold this 18. It corrected through time. And now it's correcting through price. Not available, not even available to be calculated too well. If you did something like a quarterly chart, then maybe you'd be within the 18 now. And I don't have access to that as it is anyway. Plus, there's not enough data. But among it, you have where you came from. Either you find support here, you get above in here, maybe you continue a sideways trend on this point here. Maybe you're able to have another leg higher. And maybe this is nothing more than a complete failed breakout. And thus, it comes back down to an area of support in which it came from, or where the next key support level would be on a fail of what the major support mark is. It pierced above it here, almost hit. Now, of course, it's went into the mid area. It's still above. I know I got a lot of drawing on here. Still above this line. But the question is how well would I do in that type of game that I showed? Because what I do is I download the data from what's crypto compare, and I take an XL is available. You can look for a save button. Make sure you have an advanced chart. Get the time frame you want. You'll see the save button. Look for XSLX. That will take it to a spreadsheet. Then I'll just match the datas up. I can divide one price by the other, and then go from there. Look for opportunities to trade this coin against it, and maybe pick some others. But again, if you can think of some, and I really wouldn't mind for dates, definitely, definitely early 2018 as the most for the most earliest time for a startup date. Definitely 2017 for sure, because there's a lot going on from that point. And anything before this gives me the opportunity in here. I see this has been going on really even since the summer of 2014. And in this example, this has been going on since 2015. So I'm going to have to take a bunch of 2014 dates and then not count them. So therefore, I will be in time. I don't know. I'm not going to get at it right now. It's 11 a.m. But I'll be taking the data from those sites. And then when I do so, I'll go on a spreadsheet. And this is how I do it to make it really simple. So I'd have what the ratios are, and of course they would be calculated with a lot of decimals. However, I'm probably going to reduce the decimals. I mean, what I'll do here is I'm just going to put this into the satisfactory amount of decimals needed. I mean, I'd like to have at least 4 digits to view from. But anyway, so these would be the prices that would come up. Now, as far as small basic or most basic programming languages, or all of them that I've ever known has always been this way. The way you write it in code is something like, say you got your variable, which is, I don't know, say trends, and then you have an array equals 74 trends. Shift would work. Well, you put /2 equals like 75. So in this case, I'd want to have it look that way. So I'm going to have, let's say this is ratio. So I'm going to go ratio, and then I will put in the this here, and it's going to be like that. Okay, never mind. But I need the array number, which will start with a 1. So I would go like this. And this, I would put the second half in is equal to. And then on here, I would put equals this number plus 1. And then I can just copy and paste this the rest of the way. And it would be something like this. And so on. Of course, I have all these numbers in here. I could just copy and paste, and there's going to be a whole bunch of them. And as we can see in this in here, this is exactly what I did in this one. So ratio 1 equals 3. And then all of these numbers, as we can see how, at least with Namecoin, how this ratio goes up to 9, then down to, so there's a bit of buybacks when it went to 7. Goes up to 11, then 13, 18, 20. Down, see, this is a spot where it was good, because you go 20 back to 10, you're getting some buybacks, but you need to, if this is all you're getting, this isn't enough to be able to sustain, and even better here. But this wasn't sustainable because there just wasn't enough pullbacks from this point forward. It goes up to 40, then it went up to like 62. There's a pullback to 36, but Was it any further below? No, because it goes back up to 63, which means I'd be selling more Litecoin up to 87. It was getting insane when it got to 100, which was pretty much coming. And 75, do we get a good buyback? 69, not bad. 65, okay. But that wasn't it. It went to 59. Still, that wasn't much. And then now it goes over 100 and goes down to 47. And that really did help because it was getting out of insane how little my Litecoin was at that point. And then back up. So that was the program. So now, all I got to do is change these to whatever the new coins are, which would be edit replace. Pretty easy. And then change what I'm going to start with, how many. I got to put my counter back to 1 because the last time I did it, I started at period 411. And then I would add a script for this. And the way you would write what I mentioned as far as, I'm going to just do a quick example, fast forwarding. So I would say the enter 5 to go to the number. Well, up in here, this is where it asks it. So if decision equals 2, well, if decision equals 5, then I'm going to need a text window to write and ask, well, what's the highest and the lowest number? So highest is equal to text window read the highest, lowest is equal to text window read the lowest. Then when it goes to a new day, and a new day in here is price change time, then it asks the question, so we have the new price, counter equals counter plus 1. That's how it does it. So after it does that, we got the new price. This was ratio. I could almost delete that. This is nonsense in here. This tells you if the game is over right here. But after this, I would ask the question, is the price higher than the maximum? If it is, then go to, where's the thing? Go to start it, as I calls it, right here. Go to the start it counter. Or I'll just go to here. So as long as the counter is less than 1949 and the price is higher than the maximum, then do it. Or if it's lower than the minimum. But if it's in between, then let's just go back in here and do this all over again. And we'll just increase the counter by 1 and keep on increasing this counter until it gets to that price projection point. And if you have two coins that is not DGB, is not whatever, just two coins together, as long as there's enough data, then I would most certainly be interested in looking at it and then putting the results together, because it's very easy. Now that I've got this base spreadsheet in here to play with, then it's all about, again, just downloading the data, which again is just get the files, make sure the dates are together, divide one price by the other, do as I shown before amongst the spreadsheet where I get the ratios and put it all together, copy and paste that into the program. Make sure, like I said, do everything I talked about. I'm ready to go. It doesn't take much time at all. And then I play the game out. And it wouldn't take as long to play the game because the annoying thing amongst that game, again, was just sitting through and waiting for these prices to change. Oh, 360. Well, I want to go under 3 or I want to go over 450. And you're just waiting and waiting and waiting. Of course, it did go under 3 there for a bit. Okay, so here we have it down to 279. Let's sell some of this. Okay, let's sell 6 of them. Okay, well, I want to now go over 360 or under 2. And I'm just waiting and waiting. Well, there would have been 371, and I would have missed out on it. Okay, let's sell the 1.254, and so on. And that is it for the video. Thank you for tuning in, and have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.